Talk 105.9 KMJ FM.
We, as Americans, have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
In the 21st century, we are defined not by our borders, but by our bonds.
I'm not an expert on the Constitution, but I know that a Constitution exists to protect people.
That blew me away, man! Whoa!
Neither jackass.
In my view, talk radio tends to be one-sided. It also tends to be dwelling in hyperbole. It's explosive.
Now, Radio City in Fresno.
Y'all look terrific. You look all pumped up.
The Austin Hill Show.
All right, hold on tight. I think we have a game changer in this year's election, believe it or not. Yes, we'll make that our vocabulary word of the day here on the Austin Hill Show, a game changer, and so much more just ahead. Welcome to it, the Austin Hill Show, weekday mornings 9 to 11 at Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Now, in just a moment, we will meet one of our most respected congressmen from here in the Valley. He's making a game change of sorts himself. And we'll meet one of our future congressmen coming up later this morning. A game changer is in the offing. Listen carefully. Now, I'm a little shocked that the audio didn't get picked up in a more high-quality, high-fidelity sort of fashion. Vice President Joe Biden yesterday weighing in on Barack Obama. Listen very, very carefully. Hit it.
Barack Obama is really cool.
Now, let's repeat that. Yeah, can we play that one more time here? Joe Biden weighing in on the president.
Well, I thought Obama is really cool.
Okay, now, does that not just change everything for the upcoming election? Barack Obama is really cool. Holy cow, I thought the Obama Democrats might be in for a loss this year, but not now. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. We'll talk more about that later this morning here on the show. Also, an update on problems with bullying here in our community. You might have seen some people, demonstrating, I guess you could say, out around the vicinity of Blackstone and Shaw last night. Candlelight vigil there, stopping traffic and all the rest. We'll get to that later this morning here on the Austin Hill Show. Right now, can we welcome him, please, into the studio? One of the Central Valley, one of California's most esteemed and respected Congressman George Radanovich with us. Congressman, welcome to the program, and thanks for making the trek here into the FM KMJ. Good to see you.
Austin, good morning. It's great to be on the show.
Well, listen, it's great to have you with us, and I find your situation and what you're doing right now, Congressman, to be fascinating, because here in what is poised to be a year of great promise and likely enormous electoral gains for Republicans, you're not running for re-election. You're stepping down. Why necessarily in the year 2010? Why was it time to step away for you?
A couple of reasons, Austin. Personal circumstances dictated a change in priorities for me. I needed to spend more time with my family, and second of all, though, Austin, was the slow realization that the change that we need in the United States isn't going to happen in Washington. I don't care whether you get a Republican majority or not. We're on a downhill slide, and that most of the changes that are going to need to occur in order to fix this country are out in the hinterlands. They're in our culture, and that's really where I want to spend a lot of my time, is kind of awakening people to that reality and offering suggestions on how to fix this country.
All right. Yeah, well, now, and I know you're working on a new book project, and I want to find out about that and have our listeners find out about that, because my sense is, and we've emailed a bit about this, and I've read some of your writings, my sense is you're not just trying to carve out a career as an author. You want to ignite the very kind of change in our culture that you're referring to, and you really want this book to be kind of the beginnings of a new movement. Is that a fair assessment?
If that were to be the outcome of the book, I would consider the whole idea a success. Yeah, it's not really so much as something about my experience in Washington, but rather after 16, 18 years finally being able to figure out what it's going to take to correct the problems in this country. And I think people are going to be surprised by some of the revelations in the book, and really I think what needs to happen outside of government. I mean, the real battlefield is more with our culture, Austin, than it is electing the right people in Congress. And we're going to have to do more than just go to the polls and vote for the right people. There's a lot more that we have to do in order to get ready for smaller government.
Yeah, amen, brother. Yeah. Would that it were. Congressman George Radanovich in studio with us here at Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Congressman, we do need to go to the polls and vote for the right people. In fact, coming up later this hour and into the next hour, we will be speaking with a man you've endorsed to succeed you in your House seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, State Senator Jeff Denham, and we'll talk about why he's the right person in my view and in your view and in the view of many. Give me your assessment of where we're at right now in the United States of America and here in California. I, for one, I don't recall a period of time in my lifetime, as best as I can understand history, where voters are so angry and so seemingly so prepared to bring about a sea change in our government. But where are things right now in your view, Congressman?
Well, I think the voters were hoodwinked 2 years ago by Obama and Biden, cool Obama. And they're waking up to the fact that this gentleman was, I think people were obviously frustrated with the Republicans and not being able to downsize government. They were expecting, I think, some of the same stuff out of Obama, according to the way he campaigned, and then to find out that he went so far right, astoundingly, so quickly, far left, after he got elected, that that this was clearly not the change that was promised, and it was not the change that the American people were looking for.
Yeah. Was that necessarily calculated on his part, do you believe, on President Obama's part? It's not the Clinton-style Democratic incrementalism, but we've got the power for a finite period of time. We're just going to gobble up as much of the private sector and control as much of the country as we can in 18 months or whatever the case may be. I mean, was that planned, or is that just left-wing instincts from President Obama?
I think those were left-wing instincts on the part of Obama. I think Clinton was smart enough to become, what they called a master at triangulation, where he used the House Democrats and Republicans and triangulated things because he chose a middle road, and he ended up signing welfare reform and some of those things. That is so antithetical to President Obama. He is a far left liberal and a socialist by any definition of the term, and would stop at nothing with Pelosi and Reid to put a socialist agenda back in play.
Yeah. All right, Congressman George Radanovich in studio with us here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. We need to go to a break here momentarily. And Congressman, we have a mantra. I'm going to ask you when we come back from the break a little bit more about your thoughts on the upcoming election, and then we'll get into the more of the substance of your forthcoming book. We have a mantra here on the show. We all remember this moment. I'm sure you remember it better than most of us, when actress Tina Fey portrayed former vice presidential candidates Sarah Palin on Saturday Night Live, and she had that famous quip that really stuck with Sarah Palin. Mike, could you go ahead and play the Tina Fey soundbite, please?
I can see November from my house.
Well, now that's not Tina Fey. Tina Fey actually said, I can see Russia from my house, but that's our mantra here on the show. It seems to me that a likely favorable outcome for Republicans is, well, I don't know, in your view, just quickly, I mean, is it becoming more and more evident, or are you not counting the chickens before they hatch? What are your thoughts on that?
I think Pelosi will not be the Speaker of the House next year. I think John Boehner is the next next Speaker, and I do think that the Republicans I think that's a done deal, frankly, although people need to get to the polls and vote. Yeah. The whole question of the Senate, I think, is going to be a little bit different. My guess is that, hopefully we get control of it. Republicans do, but there's a good chance that Democrats will retain that, the majority there. Now, that's going to put the Republicans in the House in a tough position, because when you're leading the House, you've got to make the trains run on time. You've got to pass budgets, and the people that got the Republican majority back are not going to want any cutting deals or anything. So, in that way, it's going to be tough being in the majority for Republicans in the House next year.
All right, let's talk more as we continue. Congressman George Radanovich with us on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Back in moments.
Talk Radio 105.9 with Austin Hill.
What do you think of the mess Washington and Sacramento have put us in? Passing bills without even reading them first. Political paybacks to big unions while average citizens worry about their jobs. This is unacceptable. It's time to repeal Obamacare and reduce the size of government. Now, if you agree, you're part of the growing Tea Party movement. We believe in fiscal responsibility, free markets, and constitutionally limited government. Join us Friday at 12 noon in the KMJ parking lot at Palm and Shaw when the Constitution bus rolls in. And visit CentralValleyTeaParty.org for more details. Join the Central Valley Tea Party and help take the country back. Call 478-2933 to get involved, or again, visit CentralValleyTeaParty.org. Hear from experts on the Constitution this Friday. Bring a chair and join us at noon in the KMJ parking lot at Palm and Shaw. You can pick up free bumper stickers and get more information on the Central Valley Tea Party. Visit CentralValleyTeaParty.org or call 478-2933.
Hey, folks, Dave Ramsey here. I don't think anyone would be surprised to hear that I bank locally. Big banks treat people poorly. That's why when I catch a financial institution doing business right, I have something to say. Since 1934, my friends at Educational Employees Credit Union have been serving their members in the Central Valley. Their mission is to understand each individual's financial needs and provide them with quality financial products and services. I'm talking about a member-owned credit union that knows how to treat people right. And they do so by always being available, whether it's online or on the phone. When you call, you'll get a live person, not a recording. Plus, they have all the conveniences big banks offer, like checking, savings, ATM access, online banking, bill pay, and e-statements. But get this, it's free. Folks, joining is so easy. Membership is open to just about anyone. School employees, students, members of school organizations, and to their families. To find a branch near you, visit myeecu.org.
Federally insured by the NCUA. Visalia Women's Imaging Specialists, designed by women for women, is a state-of-the-art medical facility offering comprehensive radiology services. These include digital mammography, bone density, OBGYN ultrasound, and stereotactic breast biopsies. The exam time is shorter than before, and scheduling's easy, usually within a day. You'll receive personalized professional care by highly trained women technicians. In support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Visalia Women's Imaging Specialists encourages women to get their yearly mammogram. This is a very important screening exam for a healthy life. Mammograms are recommended for women over 40 with a baseline exam between 35 and 40 unless there's a family history of breast disease. Visalia Women's Imaging Specialists provides a comfortable, private environment where their accredited female technicians will take care of your needs. Visalia Women's Imaging Specialists is located at 1700 South Court Street in Visalia. Call 734-5674. Again, that's 734-5674.
Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. This is the Austin Hill Show, weekday mornings 9 to 11, right after Glenn Beck. And just ahead of the Dave Ramsey Show, one of our most respected members of Congress from California and certainly in the Central Valley, Congressman George Radanovich, in-house with us in the studio here at Talk Radio 105.9. The FM KMJ. Congressman, you were mentioning earlier how the dynamics change. It most certainly is a game changer as Republicans will likely seize control anyway, of the House of Representatives. And you've got new dynamics there in the Congress as it reconvenes come January of 2011. I want to roll the clock back here. This is just a quick soundbite of yourself on the floor of the House. And as best as I can understand it here, a cap-and-trade bill is being debated. And go ahead and roll that soundbite, if you would, please, Mike. Hit it.
Member of the committee from the Golden State of California, Mr. Radanovich, 1 minute.
Gentleman recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in strong opposition to the global cap and tax bill that's on the floor today. We don't have to look any further than my own beloved state of California to see environmental alarmism at its worst.
Okay, now you called it environmental alarmism. You referred to the legislation as cap and tax. That's not what the Obama Democrats wanted to hear, of course. And in the aftermath of that remark, pretty contentious debate unfolded. how do things become more contentious, do you believe, with the Republicans in charge and President Obama in the White House? Tell us what the dynamics would be like.
Well, one of the good things is that you won't see cap and tax, the global warming bill, darken the hallways of Congress on the House side if Republicans are in majority. So that's a nice thing, is that issue is off the table if Republicans are in charge. There's going to be a lot of fighting between, and I think Obama's going to have to decide, does he want to find some middle ground, or does he still want to do whatever he can to push his agenda? That's going to be an issue for Pelosi when she finds herself not the speaker anymore. Is she going to want to stick around and try to get that majority back and her speakership back, or is she going to fade away and some of the other Democrats take up there? The real issue is going to be that there will be the expectation on people of Republicans that since we have the majority in the House of Representatives, that they're going to make all these changes. And frankly, until we start doing some other things in this country, that's not going to happen. That will be an unmet expectation.
Yeah, and let me come back to that in just a moment. What would be your best assessment, Congressman Radanovich, of President Obama's instincts once again with the Republicans in the majority? He has said, to my account, no less than 3 times, said publicly, I'd rather be a great one-term president than a mediocre 2-term president. By that, implying that I'd rather push forth with my agenda, whether I lose re-election or not, as opposed to somehow compromising what I believe needs to happen just for political favor. I mean, I don't see him moderating, but what are your thoughts on that, Congressman?
I don't see him moderating. Regardless of what he says, I think that he's interested in being a 2-term president, not a 1-term president. So he's going to have to hold his nose, I think, and do some things, but that will only be a temporary thing while they try to obviously get the majorities back and make a new case in front of the American people, which is not going to wash, I think, after this. I think he's going to have a real hard time with his re-elect in 2012.
Yeah, boy, I would that it were. I hope you're right about that.
And you know what, Austin? I think a lot of things of those 2 years is going to be pointing toward that re-election. And for that reason, they'll be posturing. And because of that, much may not get done.
Well, you know, that sounds refreshing to me.
Which is not that bad.
No, it's not. All right, it's Congressman George Radanovich with us here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Now, I want to get to these cultural issues that you keep alluding to in just a moment. Come back to the Senate. You made reference to the Senate's likely remaining with weaker control by the Democrats, but nonetheless controlled by Democrats after the election come next year. One of I think, the most important issues that will face the Senate, just my surmising, Congressman, just my opinion, one of the most important things that will face the Senate, likely in the next couple of years, is the retirement of yet another justice on the United States Supreme Court. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is not in good health. Mm-hmm. My guess is that she will resign on President Obama's watch in his first term, from her vantage point. The question then becomes, does the Republican minority, if indeed it is that, in the Senate, do they filibuster against a left-wing justice selected by President Obama? We didn't see that this last time around. What do you think might unfold there in the coming 2 years?
It may or may not happen. You know, there is one thing that kind of gives a little bit of consolation if that does happen and Obama appoints somebody, and that is you would likely be replacing a liberal justice with a liberal justice.
Sure.
There's no gain or loss on the Supreme Court. What you do lose is that person is going to be there for a longer period of time, as they are life appointments, unless you choose to resign, and that doesn't happen. So I think having that in mind, I hope that they, given all that they do filibuster the new appointee. It just depends on what they come up with. I would love to see some of the liberal appointees turn conservative, like some of our conservative appointees have turned liberal. I don't know if that's going to happen with some of these recently appointed folks.
Little sprinkling of holy water, maybe? I don't know.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. There's a game changer. All right, it's Congressman George Radanovich at Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ, here on the Austin Hill Show. You keep using these phrases, and they are music to my ears. Phrases like change in our culture, smaller government, private sector changes. That literally, I mean, that soothes my soul. Where are you headed with it? You're working on a new book project, and you've got a message. You're still in preparation of it, but you want to affect this kind of change. Where are you going with this?
Well, let me see if I can lay it out to you really quick. Here's the good news. Socialism is coming to an end. It's beginning to collapse upon itself financially, and that's
in other parts of the world it already has. But it seems like we've got to learn this lesson all over again here in the U.S.
We had to take a few steps back forward to kind of reacquaint ourselves, and unfortunately, because of that, the national debt increased by 1/3 of itself over a 2-year period. But here's the deal: we've had 80 years of socialism, liberal, progressivism, whatever you want to call it. In its wake, it's left some severely damaged social institutions, in addition to an incredible amount of debt and a large pool of dependency. More people are dependent now on the federal government than in its entire history. Those are things that the Founding Fathers, and I think a lot of people say if we just get back to smaller government and the way it was during the Constitutions, the Founding Fathers never had that type of social climate to deal with during the time when they brought about limited government and freedom of a religion. Right. Now it's quite different. And in order to just immediately put small government in place, my theory is you can't do it without rebuilding the main institutions, and that is unleashing the power of faith in our community and ending fatherlessness in the family. Those are the two institutions that you really, frankly, cannot have small government without rebuilding both of those. And if you look at the numbers, it's pretty incredible as far as charity, which funds faith and churches, which is really the spawning ground for virtue, which leads to faith and independence in this country. 66% of all charity in the United States, or what should go to charity, is administered by the federal government to create this pool of dependency. And 33% of the charity in this country is actually given voluntarily to individuals and foundations that really make that difference. You can understand how government's taken over the role of the church as far as helping people in this country, and it's created this dependency. That has to shift, and we need to start that locally. If you've read any book, you should read What's the Matter with California? By Jack Cashel. He makes an incredible point that the problems in California started back in the 60s when which began the crumbling of the family unit and ending fatherlessness in the home, and that alone has been mainly responsible for the amount of dependency in the United States. So what I'm saying is that we've got to develop our own private resources and engage the faith community for the purpose of rebuilding the family in this country before we could ever expect to save the country and get us back on a track to smaller government. That program, outside government, also gives us a conservative majority in the Congress, which is something that we haven't had for God knows how many years. 50, 60, 70, 80 years, ever since FDR, a truly conservative. And that's what I think people are going to be disappointed in. It's because they're blurring this issue of being a Republican and being a conservative. And while we will probably have a Republican majority in the House of Representatives next year, we're far from a conservative majority. And until we privately take on these social programs and take them away from government, we're never going to have a conservative majority. Yeah. That's my theory.
Well, listen, again, music to my ears. Congressman George Radanovich in studio with us here on the Austin Hills Show. Quick break. Let's talk more about this. As we continue, also later in the hour and into the next hour, the man that, I'm just going to go ahead and predict this. He will succeed Congressman Radanovich. Our next congressman from the same district, State Senator Jeff Denham, joins us. And we'll also talk about Senator Denham's opponent. We've invited her to participate in this broadcast. She chose not to, but the door is open. But in moments, more with Congressman George Radanovich. Back in just a bit. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ.
Let's be honest, damn near everyone in politics is a whore. They'll do anything for power. They'll do anything for every morning from 6 to 9. That's the problem. with the country on Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ.
Recently, I visited Central Valley Sport Planes at the Chandler Airport in Fresno. Get this, 20 minutes after I arrived, I was flying an airplane. The plane takes off in about 300 feet and has an airspeed of about 130 miles an hour. It holds 2 people with room for luggage, and you can actually learn to fly and get certified in one of these light sport planes with just 20 hours of training and your California driver's license. The Discovery flight is only $99 and can be applied to the cost of training. If you've ever dreamed of flying, here's your chance. And once certified, you can rent these planes or even buy a new one of your own, starting at about $60,000. Central Valley Sports Planes stay with you with service at their Fresno and Tracy locations, including full hull and engine maintenance, fleet service for a year, and lifetime consultation. Call now to book a flight or for more information in Fresno, 978-8332. That's 978-8332, and start flying.
People are really hurting, but it seems like government cares more about big banks than small businesses or real people. Fresno needs someone who cares more about Main Street than Wall Street. We need Cynthia Sterling. Sterling understands what we're going through. She was raised by parents who started a small business wiped out by recession. That's why as Fresno City Council President, Sterling worked to create new jobs and housing for the people who needed it most. Sterling helped build the first new affordable housing in the city of Fresno in 25 years and created new jobs. Sterling fought to build a new home to care for Fresno's veterans. And when small businesses like Matthews Harley Davidson struggled with red tape, she kept them in Fresno and helped them expand. Wall Street doesn't need any more help, but Fresno County needs all it can get. We need Cynthia Sterling on the Fresno Board of Supervisors.
Paid for by SEIU, United Healthcare Workers West Political Action Committee. Not authorized by a candidate or a committee controlled by a candidate.
Raise up the banner, red, white, and blue, shout out for freedom.
Raise Up the Banner is a red, white, and blue shout out for freedom. Raise Up the Banner, the patriotic song to lift up this great nation, is now available on iTunes. iTunes for Raise Up the Banner by Valley singer-songwriter Rachel Rivero now.
Coach Dan Brown came to Fresno State as one of the best. Now in his honor, the Valley has one of the best. The Neuroscience Institute at Community Regional Medical Center.
We want to help local families fighting brain cancer and neurological disabilities. By bringing top physicians and leading-edge technology to the Central Valley, the Dan Brown Legacy Fund will help people right here at home receive world-class medical care.
Honor Dan's memory. Honor Dan's life.
Text Brown to 85944 to make a $10 donation today.
Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. This is the Austin Hills Show. I am in La Casa, weekday mornings 9 to 11, right after the Glenn Beck Show. Just ahead of Dave Ramsey. Now, we've got lots more ahead. We need to revisit the issue of bullying here in the Valley. You might have noticed some big demonstrations going on if you were in Fresno last night at the intersection of Blackstone and Shaw Avenue. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later this morning into the next hour. Also, State Senator Jeff Denham joins us a bit later. Congressman George Radanovich. He is a Californian. He is a congressman from our state here in the Valley. He's also, and Congressman, you and I have talked about this. We are both graduates of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo.
That's right.
The correct Cal Poly. Do you talk about, well, for all intents and purposes, yes. That thing down there in L.A. was just trying to pretend.
That's right.
But given the rivalry with Fresno State and Cal Poly, do you talk about being a former Mustang much?
You know, I haven't chalked that up that much because, you know, I'm a big Bulldog fan as well. So, you know, I really enjoy watching the games and following, you know, the baseball teams and football teams during these last few years. So, So because it's outside the area, I really haven't played it all that much.
Yeah, well, and I can understand. When I started my show here, I had somebody on the staff here at the radio station say, well, when Fresno State plays Cal Poly, who do you cheer for? And I said, Cal Berkeley. I'm staying out of that one. Anyway, listen, I want to pick up on some of the things you were talking about. You want to awaken faith communities across the country to rise to the occasion, as it were, and endeavor with problems of fatherlessness and broken families, and to pick up the mantle and be the main source, if I understand understood it correctly, of charity in our country. We've ceded that territory to the government. It quickly becomes very poisonous welfare when government takes over those kinds of issues. Where do you start with faith communities to take back that higher ground, so to speak? How do you begin that?
I think the message is this. I think a basic Christian tenet is that in our relationship with God, He protects and provides to us through four institutions: our faith, our family, or through our faith, our family, government, and what's the third one? Faith, family, and work. And because of that, this is how we pursue happiness. This is my theory. We pursue happiness by having access to those four institutions and having a relationship with a higher power, with God, who protects and provides to these four institutions. If that's the case, then each and every child or each and every person in this country has a constitutional right of access to those four institutions, and the growth of government has blocked access. How many millions of people are living in fatherless homes? How many millions of people are given welfare checks that don't change lives? Not at all. They just sustain dependency. So in the big scheme of things, I think government is going to be downsizing government. We're not going to be able to sustain this any longer. But I think it's going to take our culture to step in and move people from dependency to independence. And that's where faith comes in. People's lives are going to have to change, and faith changes lives. It's really interesting because faith and virtue start with a relationship to God, and it leads to independence and more giving, more charity. There's a natural progression there that's been stymied and and really tamped down by government charity. I mean, it's 20 to 25% of the federal budget goes for purposes for which churches and faith organizations ought to be doing. 20 to 25% of the budget is charity, and you can see where the numbers are. This: we each give collectively $300 billion a year to churches and nonprofits. Corporations and foundations give $100 billion.
That's on an annual basis here?
On an annual basis in the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
As a percentage of our gross collective income. Government spends $800 billion a year. 66% of all charity is taken through your tax dollars, through the federal budget, and doled out, and that's what's built this class of dependency that has to move from that to independence. Right. And so I think the issue really is getting government out of the social programs. I think it's being prompted by the fact that this country and the state is going bankrupt, but our culture is going to have to deal with that challenge, and that has to be done without government. That has to be done by private wealth out there. You've got, who was it? Warren Buffett and Bill Gates talking about giving away their estates to charity. Well, it needs to be done smartly so that we can rebuild the independence in this country, and it needs to be funneled through faith organizations determined for the specific purpose of rebuilding the family in this country. And that way, from a religious perspective, from a faith perspective, you move toward everybody's constitutional right to live life in the face of God, accessing all those four institutions so that they can obtain the blessings of God, and that's what freedom's all about. That's what America's all about. You mentioned a little bit earlier, Ronald Reagan, that we need to preserve that America is the last and greatest bastion of freedom. Freedom is all about living life in the face of God, having access to these four institutions, and government has just almost destroyed these other institutions by its largesse, and that's the biggest challenge, I think, of this generation, and it's the big challenge, I think, of people of faith in this country.
All right, it's Congressman George Radanovich in studio with us here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Congressman Radanovich is not running for re-election. In the midst of all the campaigns and campaign signs and commercials and voter registration efforts, and on it goes, he is stepping away, and we're finding out a little bit more about what's on his mind and where he intends to take his professional life and things he wants to invest in going forward into the future after he leaves Congress. Congressman, listen, I am in unison. I am in full agreement with everything you're describing here. I also realize, and so do you. You were elected, began as a member of the House of Representatives in 1995, elected in the 1994 Republican takeover of Congress, and then you saw the majority get bigger, and then you became a part of the minority party. I mean, you've ridden a wave in Congress for these almost 16 years now. I realize that as much as what you're saying is true, it is also the case that when politicians, mostly on the left, some of them in the Republican Party, when politicians say, well, we just need to allocate more funding for education. We just need to budget and allocate more funding for the children, for special programs, for unemployment benefits, for unwed mothers, for a bailout of this, that, and the other thing. There is a sense in which, for many people, that message is very attractive. And then in the faith community, unfortunately, I think we've got a lot of clergymen, Protestant and Catholic and otherwise, who, their natural inclination is to go to big government for the social welfare. They like the idea of government taking care of the poor and all the rest. How do you affect change on those two fronts?
Well, you've described it perfectly, and liberals have it easy because there's no distinction in their minds between society and government. Government is society, so government solves all the problems.
And historically, and not to be too personal, but I am a practicing Catholic, and historically, the Catholic Church has seen things that way. I think in more recent decades.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed. Now, if we go back to the teachings, for example, of Pope John Paul II, he turned the quarter on that pretty swiftly. Unfortunately, far too many of the American Catholic bishops didn't get the memo on that one, but church and state have been one for a good bit of world history. And so to sit down with clergymen and say, no, you don't want to go there, I have a tough challenge with that. Where do you take that?
Well, let me just finish my thought real quick, and that is conservatives have a different challenge, a far more difficult challenge, Austin, in that we believe in smaller government because that's the role that government should play. But you can't, if you don't bring it within the context of society and how small government fits and what are the other institutions supposed to do, and you're trying to bring it in, small government back when these other institutions are severely damaged, all you're really promoting is anarchy. And the best way to, I think, bring the Tea Party into the mainstream is add the faith community to that. And the best way to get the faith community is by reintroducing the four institutions and doing what we need to do as a culture to supplement what the Tea Party is trying to do with less government. Then you have a mainstream movement. Then you have the possibility of conservative majorities in all levels of federal government.
I like it.
Yeah, that's how you beat. That's how you beat the liberal that wants to spend money on social programs.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, listen, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, you've talked, Congressman, about a book project that you're working on, and when those things are a work in progress, there's only so much you can say until the the thing is published and all the rest. But I want you to tell us what you can when we come back. And you also have made reference to the necessity, as much as we need to stop looking to government to meet all our needs in these very private and very significant areas. You did make reference to the fact that, at the end of the day, we have to elect the right people to the right offices. And one of those right people is in the studio with us. We'll introduce him when we come back as well. More with Congressman Radanovich. So much more ahead. It's the Austin Hill Show at Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Back in moments.
Sunday, the Raider Nation heads to the Rockies for a battle with the Broncos. Game day coverage at 12:45 on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
Hello, I'm William Dietzel, United States Air Force retired, and I'm proud to be a veteran of the United States of America. As a veteran who proudly served my country, I have witnessed personal sacrifices beyond all comprehension. Leaders make tough decisions for the betterment of all they serve. Supervisor Phil Larson is one of those leaders. He served our country overseas. In fact, he has been dedicated to serving others all his life as a United States Marine and now as our Fresno County Supervisor. Phil Larson has continued to serve the community, putting others' needs before his own. He is an elected official who's not afraid to make tough decisions for the betterment of those he serves. Supervisor Phil Larson has the support of our local veterans like me for his honest, no-nonsense approach. Special interests can waste their resources and twist the facts all they want. That will never change Phil Larson's resolve to do what is right. Duty, honor, country. Let's re-elect Phil Larson, Fresno County Supervisor.
Paid by Friends of Phil Larson, Supervisor, 2010.
I'm child behavioral therapist James Lehman. I know you need the Total Transformation Program to turn around your child's behavior, but for some reason you haven't tried it. Maybe you're skeptical and doubt that it will work for you and your child. Listen, I'm willing to give away 1,000 copies of the Total Transformation to the most skeptical of parents for free. All I need you to do is send me your feedback about how it works for you and your child, and the program will be free. You get the program for free, and I get the satisfaction of knowing how the Total Transformation helped your child. Anyone who says they can change your child's behavior should be willing to prove it. We're going to prove once and for all that the Total Transformation Program works for every behavior problem imaginable, and it'll be free to 1,000 of my most skeptical customers.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-256-4740. 1-800-256-4740. That's 1-800-256-4740. 1-800-256-4740.
When it comes to buying a vehicle, you want to talk to someone you know you can trust. Someone with knowledge and experience. A dealership that truly stands behind everything they do. Well, there is one family-owned dealership that comes to mind. Steve Chevrolet in Chowchilla. Trusted for more than 36 years. And when it comes to Chevrolet, well, that's where they really shine. With 0% APR financing on select Chevy models, plus a quality selection of new and used vehicles. Steve Chevrolet is part of the new GM and the next generation of Chevrolet, serving all of Madera, Merced, Mariposa, and Fresno counties. Visit Chowchilla. It's a Chevy kind of town. And Steve Chevrolet. Call 559-715-4621 or view their inventory online at stevechevrolet.com. Steve Chevrolet, an American revolution. In Chowchilla on 99 at the Robertson Boulevard exit. 0% APR financing available for qualified buyers through GMAC on select Chevy models. Some buyers may not qualify. Monthly payments of 60 months is $16.67 per 1,000 financed.
Thanks for listening. The Austin Hill Show rolls on weekday mornings 9 to 11. Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. 9:47. We've got the very latest from Fox News Radio and an update from the KMJ News Center coming up at 10 o'clock this morning. Congressman George Radanovich from right here in the Valley, proud Cal Poly alumni. I guess he can say that more openly now, and I am too. Think of all the fun we're having here talking about Cal Poly, and we haven't even broken out the wine and cheese yet. But anyway, Congressman Radanovich, who is not running for re-election, is talking about, nonetheless, I think, some profoundly important things. Now, you've alluded to this book, Congressman. That's a work in progress. I want to order one, but before we get to that, what can you tell us about this project, and when can we go to order one?
Well, putting out books, as you know, Austin, that is a laborious effort. It could be up to another 6 months before it's on the shelf, maybe even 9. I think in the meantime, what I want to do is dedicate myself to speaking on the 4 institutions as a replacement to socialism and generate support for it during that time. But people can get some information on it on my website, which is radanovich.house.gov, and follow the progress of it. But I will be speaking and making recommendations where I can for people, because it's a lot more than just going to the polls and voting for the right person. Our culture is going to have to do much more than that, and we're talking about rewriting a new social contract and ending the old one, which is socialism.
Again, music to my ears. Now, for those who wanted to get in touch with you, and we'll make sure to put a link to Congressman Radanovich's congressional website on my blog and show page at kmjnow.com. You've done some speaking on these very issues, even while you still serve in the Congress. You've done some speaking about this in Fresno and other parts of the Valley, and I presume you're open to more of that.
Oh, absolutely. And Austin, I gave my maiden voyage speech on this subject was August 16th. It literally took 18 years, 16 of them in office, to be able to figure out this dynamic. And so I'm ready to speak about it now, even though the book isn't out. And so I'm looking for places to speak, because I think it's a message that people need to hear. We need a new social contract.
I'm with you. All right, now it's Congressman George Radanovich, again, who's not running for re-election. He's with us here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Now, you have nonetheless, Congressman, as much as you're saying all the right things as far as I'm concerned, changing our culture, smaller governments, private sector involvement in charity and all the rest, you have said it, to my count here, 5 times. So I've been taking notes on you. You said it 5 times. We've got to elect the right people. One of those right people is in the studio with us. I will let you do the honors of introducing this gentleman.
Thanks, Austin. You know, when I decided to leave office, I really did want to make my endorsement count, and so I thought long and hard about who I might endorse after stepping down, and Senator Jeff Denham was the man for me, because he's just strong of character, very independent, very active, has been an active senator in Sacramento and stands up for the Valley and is not swayed by special interest. And I asked Jeff to step in, and he won the primary in June. And
yes, he did.
Looks like it's going to be maybe not even close this November. We'll see, but he's going to be the next congressman for the 19th district here in California, and I'm very proud of that. He's going to be a great representative.
Worked for me, Senator, soon-to-be Congressman Jeff Denham. Welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And another proud Cal Poly alumni. Now, I won't say that again, lest there be, further contention here with Bulldog fans. But nonetheless, how do you like this? All 3 of us former Mustangs. But anyway, Senator, thank you for joining us. Now, you coming from the background of the state legislature, we need to take a break. I want both of you to weigh in on this before you depart, Congressman Radanovich. We've talked an awful lot about how problematic the U.S. federal government has been, Congressman, and how it gets under the way. Gets in our way and undermines what really needs to happen. In no small part, it's also in Sacramento. And so I want to get, Congressman Radanovich, want to get your perception of our state's government, the current state of the state, as it were, from your perspective as a federal legislature. And Senator Denham, as you cross the divide from Sacramento to Washington, D.C., we'll get yours as well. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Quick break, back with more. Congressman George Radanovich and State Senator and Congressional candidate Jeff Denham with us on the Austin Hill Show. Back in moments.
The Modesto Bee said the smear campaign against Anthony Cannella was riddled with innuendo and inaccuracies, and even outright lies.
Assemblywoman Caballero and her special interest allies don't want to stop the irresponsible spending in state government. I do.
Anthony Cannella.
That's why they're twisting the truth about my record. They falsely claim that I raised taxes, even though Anna backed the biggest tax hike in state history, and falsely claim I want to pave over prime ag land. But would 3 county farm bureaus endorse me over Anna Caballero if that were true? Send me to Sacramento, and I'll stand up to a legislature that has failed people like us. Fight to get state government working for us instead of Sacramento special interests and political insiders. And I'll fight to stop irresponsible government spending that wastes tax dollars and is a drag on our economy.
Get California working again. Anthony Cannella for State Senate.
Paid for by Cannella for Senate 2010.
Hi, I'm Gary Scelzi, 3-time NHRA world champion. I drive hot rods at speeds well over 300 miles an hour. Driving to me is not a game. Neither is hunger. It affects literally thousands of people each year right here in Fresno County. That's why I've joined the team of the Fresno Rescue Mission to help drive away hunger. When you donate your car, truck, boat, or RV, you can help those trying to survive on the streets and back alleys of Fresno. And you'll receive a tax deduction. In many cases, the donated value of your vehicle will be worth more to you than what you might have sold it for or traded it in for. The mission will fix it, clean it up, and sell it. And the proceeds will be used to provide even more hot, nutritious meals for poor families throughout Fresno County this year. You'll know you've helped drive away hunger. Thank you and God bless.
Call Rescue Mission Super Thrift Store with cars at 440-0870. That's 440-0870.
Do lines in the face make you look tired, old, even angry? Need a little freshening up? Looking younger and more attractive is more important than ever. Dr. Peter Trong specializes in the face and has been working his brand of magic for people from all walks of life, young and old. With 15 years of experience in the eye and face areas, Dr. Trong himself will administer all injections and laser treatments on his patients. If you think cosmetic procedures must be painful and expensive, wait no more. It's more affordable than ever at Dr. Trong's office. Stop in for a consultation so Dr. Trong can recommend the most cost-effective solution for your concerns. Dr. Trong will spend the extra time and effort to minimize discomfort with any procedure. Call Dr. Trong at 559-434-9497 or log on to facialsurgerydr.com. Call today and get 1 syringe of Radius filler free. That's right, completely free when you purchase one at Face's low price. Just by mentioning KMJ. Call today for more details and schedule an appointment before the holiday rush. 559-434-9497.
It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. I am Austin Hill, weekday mornings, 9 to 11, right after the Glenn Beck Show. And just ahead of the Dave Ramsey Show. Now, still to come, we've got Fox News Radio at the top of the hour, 10 o'clock. The very latest from the KMJ News Center, Congressman George Radanovich, who's not running for re-election. He's off doing some other things. We'll get a link posted to his website on my page at kmjnow.com. We'll do that momentarily. State Senator Jeff Denham, who is running for Congress to replace Congressman Radanovich. He's in the studio with us. Congressman Radanovich, let's start with you here in the last couple of minutes. We have a big part of our sufferings here in California. It's not just Washington, it's from Sacramento. What's your assessment here with a state government who hasn't been able to balance a budget for a long, long time, and yet they can pass bills banning plastic trash bags and things of that sort? Where do we go with that? I mean, what goes on in Sacramento is very threatening to me, in my view.
Well, so goes California, so goes the nation. That's
unfortunately,
and unfortunately, it's true in this. The only reason the federal government is in that way because we can print money and forestall things for a time. But I think the situation in California is what we're facing as a nation, and that is we have to realize that government can't do all the things that it is doing now. If it does 20 things, it has to learn to do 12 things. And what are going to be the 8 things that it's no longer going to do? And what are the other institutions going to do to start picking up the slack? And how do we rebuild the family in this country? And where does faith come along to rebuild dependence or independence and get people out of dependence? It's a culture thing. I mean, to coin a phrase, it's the culture, stupid. It's not voting for the right person in the ballot box. So,
right.
So I think Jeff is more of an authority on that, but it's the same in California. It is nationally. I think California is facing it because they have more severely because they have to balance a budget, but I got to tell you, 4 more years of Jerry Brown, and it just goes further downhill.
Listen, let's hope that's let's hope that's not the case. Senator Denham, listen, your elective body, the California State Senate, quite literally has kicked the can down the road. So is the state assembly when it comes to saving our state from near bankruptcy. Let's put it that way. And yet there is time and place for legislation to grant free bottled water to school children and things of those sorts. I mean, I look at what goes on up there at the Capitol, and God bless you for putting up with this and fighting the good fight, but it drives me batty. It's got to weigh on your shoulders, too.
Oh, absolutely. It drives me batty as well, seeing some of the crazy bills that come through. But more so, the misguided priorities of the state legislature. Until our California electorate holds that body accountable, we're not going to see change. And I'm hopeful that this is the election that the California public speaks up and says enough is enough. We're going to take this state back because I think if things go wrong in this election, we're going to wait and see where the collapse is. How does California completely fall apart?
Well, listen, hopefully we can forestall that complete collapse. And I know that's something that weighs on the shoulders of both of you. Congressman Radanovich, listen, final thoughts here in the last 60 seconds as you pass the torch, literally and figuratively as well, to State Senator Jeff Denham. All this talk about getting government out of our lives, we still need good people in office. What do we do?
Well, the first thing you can do is vote for my friend Jeff Denham to be the next congressman of the 19th Congressional District. Same said for Meg Whitman for governor and Carly Fiorina for the Senate, and I think that begins to put the right people in there that think in terms of small government. But at the same time, we need a national plan to rebuild this country and leave government out of it. And that's one thing that people, a new expectation that I think people need to have.
Very well. Well, listen, Congressman George Radanovich, thanks for joining us. Can we just make a commitment right here between the three of us? Can we do this again at some point next year? Reconvene, put our minds together, and talk about these important issues. You gentlemen on board for that?
Absolutely. Love to. I think that it is necessary. You need strong leadership to give priorities to government. And on the same level, you need people out there in the public that are changing that mind frame. It's not just government that has to change. It is our American public that has to change and get away from the, what can government do for me? Instead, it needs to be, what can I do? I mean, we had that mentality decades ago, and unfortunately, that paradigm has changed.
Let's do it. Congressman Radanovich, thank you for your years of service.
Count me in your show.
We will talk again when you are no longer in Congress. We continue with State Senator, soon-to-be Congressman Jeff Denham on the Austin Hill Show. Back in moments.
Talk 105.9 KMJ FM.
We, as Americans, have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
In the 21st century, we are defined not by our borders, but by our bonds.
I'm not an expert on the Constitution, but I know that a Constitution exists to protect people.
That blew me away, man! Whoa!
These are jackass.
In my view, talk radio tends to be one-sided. It also tends to be dwelling in hyperbole. It's explosive.
Now, from Radio City in Fresno.
You all look terrific. You look all pumped up.
The Austin Hill Show.
Yes! Pumped up as always. Welcome to the Austin Hill Show. That is moi. I am in the house weekday mornings 9 to 11 right after the Glenn Beck Show just ahead of Dave Ramsey. Take down our number if you want to join us. It's in the 559. It's 490-2020. 490-2020. Now, we've got a lot to talk about this hour. We need to revisit, yes, believe it or not, the bullying issue. We had a big kind of an uprising of sorts out on, if you were in Fresno last night, it was right in the vicinity of Blackstone and Shaw. Quite a candlelight vigil and all the rest. We'll talk about that. Polling data as it regards not only races here in California, but around the country. And, we have this mantra here on the show. Now, of course, you'll recall back a couple of years ago, actress Tina Fey impersonating then Republican vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin. Here's Tina Fey with those memorable words.
I can see Russia from my house.
Yes, of course. A very fun moment in time. Sarah Palin never said that, by the way, but millions of Americans thought she did. Well, our own adaptation of the Tina Fey quip here on the Austin Hill Show, it goes like this.
I can see November from my house.
Yes, and November is becoming more and more apparent, and a part of the what we will be celebrating on election night come November is the election to the United States Congress. I'm quite sure of State Senator Jeff Denham. Please welcome him. He's in the studio. Senator, good to have you here on the Austin Hill Show. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I want to make something very clear. Yes, always a round of applause for these state senators, soon to be congressmen. I want to make something very clear here. I need to issue this as sort of a disclaimer of sorts. But we are in the media business. We are in the window of period of time. We are so close to the election that we are obliged by federal law, required by federal law, to grant quote unquote equal time to competing candidates. And I want to make it very, very clear. State Senator Denham, we extended the opportunity to him and his Democratic opponents, Lorraine Goodwin, to actually debate during the course of this hour. And Senator Denham's office took about 5 minutes or so to respond to that invitation and say, yes, absolutely. We have not heard from Lorraine Goodwin. So we extend her the opportunity. Love to have you on the show to talk about the issues as we are here with Senator Denham this morning here on the Austin Hill Show. So you want to move from Sacramento to Washington, D.C. That is a big undertaking. What prompted you to do this? I suppose it's probably in no small part the request of Congressman Radanovich to step up. But what beyond that? What brought about this change for you?
Certainly getting the call from Congressman Radanovich opened the door to this possibility. But it's the frustration that I've seen from the state level. Seeing that California continues to go back to the federal government, ask for more bailouts, increase in spending here on a state level, and then after the fact going back and saying, well, we're going to fill our budget holes or we're going to continue to ask the federal government for more money. It just doesn't work. It's failing our state, and now we're seeing it exacerbated on a federal level. I am beyond angry. I am beyond concerned. I'm afraid for my kids. When you've got $14 trillion worth of debt and we're going back to China to ask for more because we can't live within our means, because our states can't live within our means, at some point, not only do you have to say enough is enough, but you've got to push for cutbacks. We've got to get this debt completely erased and make sure that, our freedoms are preserved for generations to come. But I am afraid of the direction our country is going in.
Well, and that very fear seems to be fueling, quite frankly, the Tea Party movement. But I don't know about you, Senator Denham, but it certainly seems to me that is the undergirding force, if you will, that is tipping most of the political polls, state by state and congressional district by congressional district, in the right direction towards the Republicans. And I say this as a Republican myself, but quite frankly, I don't think at the level of the national level, when it comes to the RNC and other national Republican outlets, I don't think what appears to be a good election year for Republicans is because of a genius strategy with the RNC or what have you. I think Americans have just been freaked out, to use a technical term there, by what's coming from Washington and the current Congress. What would your assessment of that be?
Yeah, beyond freaked out. I mean, people are awake. They're paying attention. I think that people are angry and afraid both. And they're going to give Republicans a chance. This is not a Republican movement. This is not like 94. Right. There are still, the throw out the bums mentality on Republicans and Democrats. People want change. And the change that they were sold 2 years ago is not the change that they want for the direction of our country. And so I think we're going to see a drastic movement here come November 2nd that not only takes the Congress back to the Republicans to give us a chance to make the changes that need to be made.
Yeah. All right, listen, quick break. We continue with State Senator and Congressional candidate Jeff Denham in just moments. He is in the House here on the Austin Hill Show. You're listening to Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Back in moments.
It's a Big Ten Classic on NCAA Saturday. Iowa and Wisconsin kick it off at noon on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
It's spectacular, scintillating, sensational. It's the Super Civic Sales Spectacular. 2 solid weeks of surprising savings, like a $159 a month lease on the sporty 2010 Civic. That's right, $159 a month to drive one of the smartest values on the road. $159 a month for California's #1 selling small car, backed by Honda's 50-year reputation for worry-free performance. Our Super Civic Sales Spectacular ends October 24th. So see your Central Valley Honda dealer right now to lease a shiny new Civic for $159 a month. It's a small price to pay for a value this big. Honda. Smart. For the dealer nearest you, visit shophonda.com.
Lease a 2010 Civic DX VP automatic sedan through American Honda Finance for 36 months at $159 plus tax. $13.99 due at signing plus taxes and fees. No security deposit. 15 cents per mile over 36,000 at lease end. Available only to well-qualified buyers. Dealer prices and lease terms may vary. Offers end 11/1/10. Based on RL Coke & Company, U.S. retail registration, small car segment, January through July 2010.
It's election time, and Assemblywoman Ana Caballero promises she'll fix Sacramento. Honest. Tough to believe. The special interests funding her re-election are going to want something for their money. And Assemblywoman Caballero likes her perks. Six-figure salary, over $100,000 of it tax-free. New car, gifts from lobbyists, endless budget delays. And what about us? Higher income taxes, higher sales taxes, higher car taxes, higher gas taxes. All told, Assemblywoman Caballeros voted for more than $90 billion in taxes and fees. Assemblywoman Caballero cast the deciding vote for what many called the largest tax increases in California history. Ana Caballero. Perks for her, taxes for us. Assemblywoman Caballero, the problem with Sacramento. Paid for by Jobs PAC, a bipartisan coalition of California employers, not authorized by a candidate or candidate-controlled committee.
Stress. Sometimes a little of it can be a good thing. It can motivate and inspire us. But most of the time, stress is not our friend. Work stress can cause depression, headaches, sleep problems. It can increase your risk of disease and on-the-job injury. At Kaiser Permanente, we believe that stress is serious business, not to mention seriously bad for business. Because when employees are stressed, everyone suffers. So we promote programs that help employees deal with the demands of work and home in healthy ways, like stress breaks, workplace yoga, stress relief classes, and more. It's a total health approach. That's what Kaiser Permanente does for employers that choose us. Provides tools for companies to keep employees healthy, less stressed, and more productive. In business lingo, I think you'd call that win-win-win. Find out how a Kaiser Permanente plan can help your employees and your business thrive. Go to kp.org/thrive 9 to 5.
Barack Obama is really cool. My goodness, that's enough to sway the election right there. Vice President Joe Biden weighing in yesterday that Barack Obama is cool. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Boy, that's a game changer in political speak. I don't want to get too technical. Anyway, this is the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. State Senator, and I'm quite confident, soon-to-be Congressman Jeff Denham is with us. And we're talking about his race for the Congress to replace outgoing Congressman George Radanovich in the U.S. House of Representatives. Senator, as a member of the California State Senate, you have represented, my God, I looked this up the other day. The territory that you cover includes parts of Madera, Merced, Stanislaus, San Benito, and Monterey counties, as I understand it. My goodness, that's a diverse bunch. You've got competing interests all over the place there, and you've managed to represent those interests in the state senates admirably, and have been elected and reelected there. Let's talk about stepping up to the plate as a freshman member of the U.S. House of Representatives. Now, first and foremost, we need water here in the Valley. That's a biggie. But one of the, it seems to me anyway, and you correct me if I'm wrong, one of the first things you're going to be faced with once you get there is, it's more often than not characterized as the expiration of the so-called Bush tax cuts. I choose to characterize it as the implementation or the forcing upon us of the Obama tax hikes. But as a freshman member of the U.S. House of Representatives, where do you go with that? I mean, that's going to be devastating if that actually goes forward.
Well, the first vote that I will take will probably be the proudest vote that I take during my my career in politics, and that'll be to vote for a new Speaker of the House. The question will be whether or not Obama raises taxes before I get there in the lame duck session, or
That's
whether
right.
he tries to raise taxes immediately after that. But the issue of raising taxes, I mean, it's explained by the media, extending Bush tax cuts. We have a tax policy right now today that Obama's going to make a decision whether or not he raises taxes on all employers, whether he just tries to do that for big business or small business. The bottom line is any business that gets taxed more is going to cut back in other areas, which means less jobs. So, it seems pretty short-sighted. If you want to be moving the economy, you don't do it by raising taxes, and that's one of the things that people are going to speak out on in this election. So he's either going to get it or he's not, but the bottom line is you can't be cool in this job. It's not a popularity contest. You've got to make tough decisions, and if you make tough decisions, I think the American public will respond accordingly.
But, Senator, you also are well aware, better than most, that the Obama Democrats certainly have sought to make it a cool thing to raise taxes on rich people. The rhetoric always makes reference to them, whoever they are, but it's always, look, the upper echelon in our society, the wealthiest among us, they need to pay their quote-unquote fair share, and that's a big line of argumentation. Well, it's become a point of contention among the Obama Democrats. The prevailing sentiment, anyway, seems to be among the Democratic majority in the House and the Senate right now. Let's not raise taxes on anybody, at least for a period of time. And President Obama has insisted, no. It is the right thing to do. It is cool, in a sense, to raise taxes on the richer among us. How do you combat that? And let's assume that President Obama continues with that line of reasoning, such that it is, even into the new year. How do you, and what I hope and suspect will be a Republican majority in the House, how do you combat that sense that raising taxes, basically screwing rich people, to put it in my terms, is a good thing? What do you do with that?
Well, it's amazing, the rhetoric on both sides of this argument. The rhetoric will tell you, first of all, let's just raise it on somebody else other than me. Let's just give new taxes to the top 1% or the top 2%. And then let's also criticize them when they move the jobs out of our country. Let's criticize them when they take jobs overseas because they can no longer afford to be competitive here. Look, we're going to have to make some mature decisions. We're going to have to make some adult decisions that keep businesses here, they keep jobs here, and, it's going to be some tough choices, but raising taxes is not a tough choice. The American people don't want to see it. Even if it's on employers, I think that the people are starting to see that they know somebody that's out of work if they're not out of work themselves right now.
That's right.
I mean, having the highest unemployment rate in the nation, I mean, we are in a ridiculous state right here in the Central Valley and in California that we should be the job creators. We should be leading the nation. Instead, we're falling behind the rest of the nation and the rest of the world.
We are, indeed, in many respects. State Senator Jeff Denham, now congressional candidate Jeff Denham, with us in studio here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. And Senator Denham, you were kind of alluding to this, but let's talk for a moment about getting water to the valley. Now, I came back and launched this show during the month of August. I have heritage and history, went to high school here in the valley, first couple of years of college. And I come back and sure, there's agriculture all over still, but it's very brown. It is strangled. We just simply don't have enough water here. And Congress could have and should have acted to eradicate that problem a couple of years ago. It was back in, December of 2008, when one of our environmental regulatory agencies, as I recall, decided that the Delta smelt, a species of fish that isn't even indigenous up there in the Sacramento River Delta, the Delta smelt needed less water to survive. So quite literally, we've got billions of water coming out of the Sierra Nevada mountains flowing into the Pacific Ocean. How does Congress act quickly? How do you get everybody on board to say, no, we've got to eradicate this problem. We need water in the central San Joaquin Valley, where a good bit of the world's food supply comes from. How do you do that?
Well, we're certainly going to need some strong leadership in making sure that we have not only a Valley coalition, but we have a coalition of ag representatives throughout the nation that also have similar needs that we have here in the Valley. It's going to take that coalition, but it's also going to, we're going to have to take the same debate that we're doing on taxes to water. Do you want water, or are you going to favor some small fish that you've never seen before over the lives of people here in the Valley? I mean, it's a very serious issue. And once people realize that government is rationing water because government feels like it's their water, not our water, but it's government's water to ration, I think that we'll get the American public on board and take this outside of a Central Valley debate.
I sure hope so. State Senator Jeff Denham with us here on the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Let's get back to taxes for a moment. Let's talk about the death tax. Now, it's referred to, I guess, in more polite company, as you know, Senator, as the estate tax. But it is a death tax. It is a tax whereby the government swoops in and scoops up a chunk of your estate once you have died. And the death tax is set to skyrocket yet again to up to 55% of one's estate, I believe, upon their death, come January of 2011. That affects a lot of family-owned businesses, farms in particular right here in the Valley, families that have operated farms for generations and now are faced with this confiscation by their U.S. federal government. And again, back to the earlier point, there are sensibilities in Washington, very strong sensibilities, and certainly among our president, that's just the right thing to do. It is unfair for families to pass this kind of wealth down from generation to generation because so the theory goes, I don't buy this, but the belief is that you kind of build up these wealthy families that are they get wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, and the poor get poorer and poorer, and government needs to swoop in and confiscate more than half of that wealth when somebody dies, because President Obama and all his friends in his administration, they know what to do with that money more wisely than the farm owner. You know that very well. You are native around here. You know many of those families that I'm describing. How do you combat the death tax as a member of the U.S. House of Representatives?
It is going to be another battle, as we look at all of these tax increases that the Obama administration is going to push. But this is one that, this hits at the core of Americanism.
Big time.
It is what we have built our, American entrepreneurial spirit on. Move to America and you can start a family. You can build a farm or a business and have all of your family working within that business, and it gets passed on from generation to generation. This ruins the American dream. And you've got, it's not about big business. You've got small farms. You've got small businesses that have started out on a shoestring working, 10, 15 hours a day, 7 days a week to build something, only to have it taken away by government. It's something you would see from a dictatorship government, and we're seeing it happen right here in America.
All right, we continue in moments here with State Senator Jeff Denham. He is a candidate running for Congress, as Congressman George Radanovich has chosen to retire for the Congress. He's not running for re-election. State Senator Denham's opponent, Lorraine Goodwin, she was invited to participate in this broadcast today. I want to make that very, very clear. We extended the invitation to Mr. Denham and Ms. Goodwin to debate one another. Mr. Denham was more than happy to do that. We have not heard a word from Lorraine Goodwin, and we hold open the option for her to come in and join me here on the program at a later time to talk about the issues. More with State Senator, and I'm going to go out on a limb again and just get crazy, future Congressman Jeff Denham, when we continue here on the Austin Hill Show. Stay with us.
More of the Austin Hill Show is coming up on Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ.
Did you know that the total return of the stock market in the last decade was between 0 and 1%? Can you afford another 10 years of returns like that? There is an alternative to stock market volatility for your investment dollars. It's a rapidly growing industry that offers you the opportunity to earn a 12 to 14% total fixed return or higher with no stock market risk to your principal. Call Pacific West Capital Group at 1-800-588-8000 and request your free information now. Avoid the ups and downs of the stock market and interest rate fluctuations and earn a 12 to 14% total fixed return or higher. Call Pacific West Capital Group at 1-800-588-8000 to receive your free no-obligation brochure. This investment is eligible for IRA or 401k rollovers, and the source of your investment payout comes from some of the most financially stable companies in the world. Call 1-800-588-8000. Call Pacific West for your free brochure today at 1-800-588-8000. That's 1-800-588-8000.
All right, then. Herwald Subaru for October. Let's see what we have here. I think old Frankie boy made a typo. $1,500 off. All 2010 Foresters in stock, plus 1.9% financing. Yeah, right. Frankie boy, $1,500 off plus 1.9% financing. Don't you mean or?
No, Dave. I mean plus 1.9% financing. That's $1,500 plus 1.9%.
Seriously, Frank, I can understand one or the other, but not both. Folks are going to think you're a little...
I don't want to interrupt you, Dave, but please, just read the script. I wrote it there for a reason. We want to do $1,500 off plus 1.9. We're trying to sell some cars here. Let's make it happen.
Whoa, easy, Frankie boy, easy.
Maybe I should take it from here. It's true. You can get $1,500 off all 2010 Subaru Foresters plus 1.9% financing. Herwald Subaru on Blackstone Avenue, just south of Barstow. Follow them on Facebook and get weekly specials or find them online at herwaldsubaru.com.
There is no doubt it's going to get cold. And if you happen to get cold, I suggest you listen to this commercial for All Britain Heating and Cooling. Now, this is a must. Your central heating unit needs a tune-up. As we speak, a lot of people neglect this. By keeping it tuned up, you will save money on your heating bill. You will avoid major breakdowns. And with All Britain Heating and Cooling, you will pay only $89 for a very limited time for this complete heating tune-up service. And if anything in the way of a breakdown should happen within 6 months after having your unit serviced, you will get that $89 back. They guarantee. But here is the real earth shaker from All Britain. If you need to replace your old equipment, rebates can now total up to $7,400. That is a real figure, $7,400. Oh, you got to turn to the experts with Carrier. All Britain Heating and Cooling. Call 800-2-SERVICE. 800-2-SERVICE. Or check it all out at allbritain.com.
Hey, thanks for listening. The Austin Hill Show rolls on at Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. I'm here right after Glenn Beck, just ahead of the Dave Ramsey Show. Still to come, we have news on the, and we followed this very carefully over the last, last 2 or 3 weeks or so. Problems with bullying in schools across the valley. We had a big demonstration last night, candlelight vigil there in the vicinity of Blackstone and Shaw Avenue last night. Need to talk about that and so much more. State Senator and now congressional candidate Jeff Denham in studio with us. He is running to replace the outgoing Congressman George Radanovich. Again, we have extended the invitation to his opponents, Lorraine Goodwin, to join us on the program. We did not hear back from her. The invitation stands. Senator and soon-to-be Congressman Jeff Denham, let's talk about Obamacare, the national health care so-called reform legislation. It is in no small part driving up the cost of health insurance already. It's not even fully implemented, and health insurance costs are going upwards. No surprise to me, but that's contrary to what President Obama promised. This news hit us yesterday. The Department of Health and Human Services is doling out millions of dollars to the respective states to, quote, help consumers file complaints against their health insurance providers. That is the U.S. government giving people money so they can file complaints and, in essence, sue their health insurance company. Americans have rejected Obamacare, and now the Obama administration is going to give us money to show us just how good it is so we can take out the private sector. This is a mess. It needs to be unraveled in a big, big way. It needs to be repealed. No question about that, in my view. You're a new freshman congressman in the U.S. House of Representatives come January. Where do you start unpeeling that mess?
You know, I think rather than see a whole wave of bills that try to amend it, or even from a Republican perspective trying to defund it, I think that we always have to go directly at the core of this issue and repeal it. Now, I don't believe that Obama will sign repeal legislation, but that is the fight that we have to take, because this is something that sends not only the wrong message to Americans, it sends the wrong message to every other country around the world that we believe not only in socialized medicine, but we believe in socialism. I mean, it's the wrong direction to take our country in. Managed care, I don't believe will work in this country. I don't think that we can afford it. I think that it'll continue to put businesses out of business. I think we'll see unemployment continue to skyrocket. But even on a personal level, if one of my kids gets sick, I don't want to wait in line. Sure, I want to be able to go find a doctor that day immediately and resolve the issue. I mean, oftentimes, we'll wait until, a flu gets really bad before you actually want to go to a doctor. But if it gets that bad, you need to be able to see somebody that day. And heaven forbid you have a life-threatening injury. I don't want to wait for some type of organ transplant or something that somebody in my family may need. I want to make sure that I can get in to see somebody that day. So I think that It was a wrong direction for our country to go in. We've seen states, including California, that has continued to try to pass some type of socialized medicine that won't work for a state, certainly won't work for our national economy. And, I think that we have to completely repeal it.
When you're out campaigning among those who will cast a vote, either for you or for your opponent, how top of mind is the Obamacare bill right now? I got to believe jobs and the economy is number one. Where does Obamacare come in when you talk to folks?
Certainly one of the top issues. I mean, obviously here locally, water is the largest issue. That fits right into jobs and the economy. Taxes, huge part of jobs and economy. And right behind that, Obamacare, primarily because it fits in with jobs in the economy. I mean, Joe citizen, the average voter, understands that we cannot afford Obamacare, even if they liked it, even if they thought they were getting something free, something new. They know that we can't afford it. I mean, the whole plan is ridiculous. We're going to be gifted a new health care plan, but forced to purchase and fined if we don't. It's going to cover 10 million new people without adding a single new doctor, but provide 16,000 new IRS agents to administer the program. I mean, it just doesn't add up, and people get that.
And let's not forget, it raises taxes on the suntanning industry. Boy, that was a unique little piece of whatever in the bill.
Yeah, and certain states won't have to pay. I mean, it was written in to buy votes so that, depending on which state you live in, you're going to be paying more or less. It just doesn't make sense all the way around.
All right. Senator Jeff,
and
go ahead.
Congress is exempted from it. Are you tired of seeing Congress live by a different set of rules? If you pass a regulation, you ought to live by that same regulation.
Here. I'm with you. All right, it's State Senator Jeff Denham. He is a candidate for Congress to replace the outgoing Congressman George Radanovich. Now, we brought into the studio today a very nice spread of wine and cheese. We're treating the state senator, soon to be congressman, very, very nicely because we want access once he goes to Washington. Now, please promise us you'll come back and visit us again here in studio on the show and keep us apprised of things once you get there to Washington in January. Do we have a deal here?
Absolutely, but I'm more of a beer guy.
Well, duly noted, sir. We'll make a change in the plans. Listen, good luck to you. Please, we've got your website. It's denhamforcongress.com if you want to know more information. And I'll get a link to that posted on my blog and show page at kmjnow.com. Good luck to you. You've got, I guess, basically 11 and a half days left here. Godspeed to you. And we appreciate you joining us very much. We'll look forward to talking to you after the election.
Thank you. Look forward to it as well.
All right, State Senator Jeff Denham, soon to be Congressman Jeff Denham. And again, I want to make it very, very clear, his opponents, Lorraine Goodwin, the Democrat running for this House seat, we extended the opportunity for her to join us on the program today. We anticipated staging a bit of a debate between the two candidates. Ms. Goodwin, we have yet to hear from her. So the offer, the invitation to her still stands here in the course of these next 12 days.
And let me be clear, if you can get her in here, I'd love to come in and debate because these are important issues for America.
Indeed. We appreciate that very much. We'll keep that in mind. Quick break, back with more of the Austin Hill Show. It's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. Don't go anywhere.
If you add the words by the sea to the end of something,
Chris Daniel,
it makes it better, no matter what it is. Let's take an example. Nancy Pelosi lingerie. By the sea.
Weekdays 1 to 3 on Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ.
When was the last time someone gave you flowers just because? Do you remember how special it made you feel? That's because sometimes the best reason to send flowers is for no reason at all. Right now, at Pro Flowers, we're making it easy for you to brighten anyone's day with Royal Autumn Lilies for just $19.99 plus a free glass vase. These vibrant lilies arrive in autumn colors like orange, yellow, and red. They add a fresh burst of fall to any room, and they're guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days. Imagine the look on their face when a stunning fall arrangement arrives from you out of the blue. gorgeous royal autumn lilies with a free glass vase for just $19.99. But hurry, because this incredible deal ends this Friday. The only way to get this amazing deal is to visit proflowers.com. Look for the radio microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 4040. That's secret code 4040.
Your car has been in an accident. Oh, it can be repaired, but it'll take time and effort on your part to arrange it. So what should you do? You should call ZJ's Auto Body. They're experts in auto body repair and will use their time and effort to make the arrangements for you. Beginning with a fast and free estimate, the friendly staff at ZJ's Auto Body will coordinate the repairs with your insurance company to get you back on the road as fast as possible. ZJ's Auto Body is recognized industry-wide, receiving national awards again this year for extraordinary customer service. Your car or truck will be in the hands of certified technicians, so ZJ's Auto Body offers a lifetime warranty on the workmanship for as long as you own your vehicle. You won't be happy if you were in an accident, but you will be happy you called ZJ's Auto Body. 298-9691. 298-9691. ZJ's Auto Body on the web at zjsautobody.com. ZJ's 298-9691.
Want to lower the cost of doing business? Stop harmful spam and virus intrusions. Barracuda Networks can help. The Barracuda Spam and Virus Firewall is an integrated hardware and software solution that processes and filters out bad email before it enters your network. With no per-user fees and automatic updates, the Barracuda Spam and Virus Firewall is the most cost-effective solution for protecting your network from email-borne threats. Powerful yet affordable security, networking, and storage solutions trusted by more than 80,000 businesses worldwide. Call 888-ANTI-SPAM for your free evaluation unit. 888-ANTI-SPAM or visit barracuda.com.
I am Professor Nathaniel Burke from the University of Farmers, where agents' minds are cultivated like a plump butternut squash. And this is a pop quiz. True or false? Nearly 20% of American drivers are uninsured. If you answered true, you're correct. If you said false, you have way too much faith in your fellow man.
Chat with a Farmers insurance agent to see how you can protect yourself with a personalized auto policy. Find your local agent at farmers.com. We are insurance.
We are Farmers.
Coverage not available in all areas.
Thanks for listening to the Austin Hill Show weekday mornings, 9 to 11. Right after Glenn Beck, just ahead of Dave Ramsey, it's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. A few items to catch up on here in the final moments of the show. Now, we've got very interesting polling data out, and I'll get to this here at the tail end of the show. President Obama's approval rating has slipped to yet another new low, believe it or not. How low can one go? I'll get to that. And also some new polls as they pertain to the race between Jerry Brown and Meg Whitman and the Boxer Fiorina race as well. Get to all of that coming up here in just a few moments. We've been following very carefully here on the Austin Hill Show growing problems with so-called bullying, mostly in public schools around the state. And in particular, we've had some very high-profile incidences of it at schools right here in the Valley. Most recently, we saw, and this was just such a tragic thing. It was a week ago. It was last Thursday when we talked about this here on the show. A young man named Marco. He is a 7th grader at a junior high school in Madera. And having tried to talk apparently with teachers and administrators and those in charge at his junior high there in Madera, and seemingly getting no support, no help, well, he took to the streets, basically. He set up shop and just stood out in front of his school. He alerted the media, too. And I want to meet this kid. He's obviously an intelligent and savvy young man. But he alerted the media, and he said, I'll be picketing out in front of my junior high school to draw attention to an ongoing problem of bullying. And indeed, many of us in the media did pay attention to him. TV cameras swooped upon the school. So there was young 7th grader Marco out in front of his junior high school carrying a sign and speaking to reporters and saying, listen, I'm tired of having my face smashed on the concrete at school. This has happened to me repeatedly. I have been called every name in the book, and I need help. And, well, interestingly, that was a week ago. Just a few days prior to that, a particular guy named, you know him very well, Daniel Puter. Some people know him very well. Daniel Puter is a mixed martial artist. He's, on the Ultimate Fighting circuit and all of that. He's kind of morphing into a career as an actor and that sort of thing. But a guy down in Los Angeles, of all places, Daniel Puter, found out about this. And he had issued a statement on his website and in some entertainment news interviews saying, listen, if you got a problem with bullying at your school, you're a school kid, you got a problem with bullying, here's my personal email address. Email me. I will fly anywhere in the country. I will fly into your community, and you and I will go sit down and have a chat with the bullies. Well, friends of young Marco in Madera found out about this. And they saw Marco do what he did with his demonstration a week ago, last Thursday. Friends of Marco emailed Daniel Puter, the Ultimate Fighting athlete, and said, would you please come to Madera? Well, and we've talked about that over the last several days here on the show. Daniel Puter did show up and held a press conference, hung out with Marco and his friends, and in a very gracious, dare I say rather heroic sort of way, actually went to a meeting with the administrators there at the junior high school in Madera. Now, I have been incommunicado with athlete, actor Daniel Puter. He's actually in Japan right now. I think he's over in Tokyo, I think it is, doing some martial arts work out there. I anticipate that he'll be a guest here on the show coming up next week. But he's kind of taken the bull by the horns, drawn attention to a very serious issue. So that's just some of what's been going on with our, I guess, growing bullying problem across the valley and around the country. Now, a lot of the bullying is aimed at people who are perceived to be or, by their own admission, are homosexual. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered individuals, young kids in many cases, junior high, high school students, early college age students. We've seen a couple of very tragic suicides, a suicide of a young man who grew up and went to high school right here in Fresno and then moved up to Humboldt, was going to Cal State Humboldt or Humboldt State University as it were, and he became a transgendered woman and ended up killing himself. And it's horrible and it's gone awful. And last night, this ongoing tragedy, well, it hit a bit of a crescendo, I suppose, here in Fresno. And I think this is mostly a very, very positive thing. We had folks gathering out around the intersection of Blackstone and Shaw on the north end of Fresno. In some cases, stopping traffic. They staged what they referred to as simply a candlelight vigil, but you had a huge group of people, huge chunk of people, if you will, in the dark of night, carrying candles, walking across the streets. Just all four sides of the intersection, from this corner to that corner, over to the next one, and they just kept going around in a big square, holding candles. And that got plenty of attention from the media, and rightfully so. Here is, I think, a very heartfelt, very earnest plea from a woman named Lorraine, one of the participants in the candlelight vigil right now, on behalf of bullying and putting out a clarion call to end it. Here's Lorraine.
We're sick of it. Get over yourselves and start loving the way that God and Jesus meant us to here.
Okay, fair point. Lorraine, a participant in the candlelight vigil, that's the message to the bullies. I don't know exactly, if that alone, I don't believe that alone stops the bullying, as it were, but it's a heartfelt plea, and a lot of us feel that way. I want you to listen very carefully to this guy here, Brandon. Now, as I said earlier, a lot of the emphasis on stop the bullying, a lot of the stop the bullying campaign, as it were, has been focused on the bullying of homosexual or transgendered individuals. And I raised this question here on the show back about 3 weeks ago. I pondered this. Is bullying somehow okay as long as the object of the bullying, the victim of the bullying, is heterosexual? All this, people getting all weirded out. Oh my gosh, we can't let the lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgendered individuals in the crowd get bullied. Well, what about the heterosexual kids? What about the, kids that don't comfortably or easily or obviously fit into some sort of minority category? Is bullying on that level okay? Well, finally, this young man at this candlelight vigil last night, who, as I understand it, openly identified himself as a homosexual man, he kind of cleared the air on this one. Here is Brandon from the candlelight vigil at Blackstone and Shaw last night.
We're here to let them know that there's a community that cares. This isn't just for gay kids. This isn't just for straight kids. It's for everybody. It's for everyone who's bullied.
Fair point. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Brandon, participant in the Candlelight Vigil last night at Blackstone and Shaw, right here in North Fresno. Now, quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up the program today here on the Austin Hill Show. Listen, it bodes well for me. If you're an Obama Democrat, it's pretty painful, I would guess. But some startling... I have never experienced a political campaign season in my lifetime, certainly not in my adult lifetime. But even going back to the year I was born and tracing back all the political machinations of our nation's history just since I've been alive, I have never experienced a campaign cycle like this one. Give you some of the stats, some of the polling data. When we come back on the Austin Hill Show, it's Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ.
Hello, I'm William Dietzel, United States Air Force retired, and I'm proud to be a veteran of the United States of America. As a veteran who proudly served my country, I have witnessed personal sacrifices beyond all comprehension. Leaders make tough decisions for the betterment of all they serve. Supervisor Phil Larson is one of those leaders. He served our country overseas. In fact, he has been dedicated to serving others all his life as a United States Marine and now as our Fresno County Supervisor. Phil Larson has continued to serve the community, putting others' needs before his own. He is an elected official who's not afraid to make tough decisions for the betterment of those he serves. Supervisor Phil Larson has the support of our local veterans like me for his honest, no-nonsense approach. Special interests can waste their resources and twist the facts all they want. That will never change Phil Larson's resolve to do what is right. Duty, honor, country. Let's re-elect Phil Larson, Fresno County Supervisor.
Paid by friends of Phil Larson, Supervisor 2010.
Hi, it's me again, Mike from Pacific Solar, fourth generation in the Wattsmiller family of business here in Fresno and the Valley. For months now, I've been talking to you about all the money and energy saving advantages of solar. Since we've been talking, the government has added even more tax incentive, which makes solar even more affordable for your home and business. We actually have homeowners whose monthly power bills are under $20. Most of us already realize solar is a good thing for the environment, and of course, for our wallets. But what does it actually cost up front, and how long before I realize the savings? That's where I come in. That's what I do. I design the most energy-efficient solar system to date for your home or business and answer those questions. We're a factory direct distributor, no middleman, with not only state-of-the-art technology, but I think the best-looking panels out there. I'd love to talk to you. Give me a call, Mike.
Or if Mike's not available, ask for me, Dave Wassmiller, third generation.
We're Pacific Solar, Valley owned and operated from a family you've trusted for over 100 years. Call 559-251-5592. Pacific Solar.
Hi, this is Mike Sherinian from the Elbow Room in Fig Garden Village, and it's all about great casual dining. And I want to thank Roy Harland, our corporate chef, for putting together some great new menu items. You just got to come down and try them. If you like fresh fish, not only do we bring in the finest fish from around the world, we also do some fun things with it. Like you got to try our new salmon burger. It is something that everybody loves. We've been getting rave reviews on it, and it's just terrific. And along with Roy's fresh fish specials, he's doing his famous sweet potato fries. So all across the menu, whether you want a sandwich or a burger, fresh fish, or our great Harris Ranch all-natural black Angus beef, we've got new menu items just waiting for you. So I want you to hurry down to the Elbow Room, come down and say, hey, Mike, what's new on the menu? And I'm going to show you all the new things we've got. And then I'm going to turn you loose on all these great items. And this is Mike Sherinian from the Elbow Room in Fig Garden Village, reminding you to book your holiday party at the Elbow Room. And thank you for dining local.
And thank you for listening. The Austin Hill Show rolls on weekday mornings 9 to 11. Talk Radio 105.9, the FM KMJ. I know this would never happen anywhere in California. Certainly not at our certainly not in our beautiful San Joaquin Valley. Not at Fresno State. It couldn't happen. Not at Fresno City College, Fresno Pacific University, UC Merced. No. This would just never happen. I don't even know. I'm not making a big deal of this. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up here. But, this just couldn't happen in California. Certainly not here in our esteemed state where everybody plays by the rules and all the rest. However, we have a very interesting story from Winston-Salem State University. Some 6,400 staffers and students boarded taxpayer-funded buses. And they headed out to the local headquarters of the Democratic Party in the Winston-Salem area. And they all grabbed ballots, and they voted early for Democrats. Now, think about that. This is a publicly funded university, Winston-Salem State University, which is in the state of North Carolina. And they're spending taxpayer dollars busing faculty and students to a polling place to cast ballots for Democratic candidates. I mean, think about that for the moment. Whatever congressional district they're in, whatever state legislative district they're in, 6,400 votes. Let's round down there. Let's imagine there are only 6,000 ballots cast, or maybe even be real conservative, 5,000 ballots out of the 6,400 faculty and students and all the rest that got bussed at taxpayer expense there in North Carolina. Imagine that only 5,000 of them cast ballots. Do you suppose maybe 5,000 votes could be enough to sway an election in one direction or another? Just kind of, sort of, maybe a little bit. I mean, we've got some very tight races around the country and even here in our state. And taxpayer-funded Vote for the Democrats effort at Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina. You think you've got poor choices here in the Valley when it comes to political candidates. I want you to listen very, very carefully to this one. This is a woman named Queen Noble. Queen Noble is running for election in the District of Columbia. Now, let me clarify something here. This is perplexing, and a lot of people just don't get this. And it is pretty weird. And quite frankly, as a kid who grew up in California and lived all my life on the West Coast until I actually started in Washington, D.C. media back in 06 and 07, I'd never heard of this before in my life. But there is no congressional representation for the District of Columbia. The only regions of the United States that get representation in the U.S. Congress, in the House or the Senate, are the respective states. And the District of Columbia, well, it is just that. It's a district. It's a U.S. territory. It is not a state. So also is Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Those are U.S. territories. They are not states. However, actually make that a however semicolon. Washington, D.C. has what it calls a shadow Congress, a shadow representative, which is just absolutely stupid that we actually spend taxpayer dollars for this. But we do spend our taxpayer dollars to pay a salary to somebody who walks like a congressman, acts like a congressman, hangs around the Congress, hangs around with members of the U.S. House of Representatives. They have two shadow senators from the District of Columbia. They hang out with the senators. They watch proceedings in the Senate. They don't cast a vote on anything. They just kind of watch and see what's going on. And they raise their hands from time to time and say, hey, well, remember the District of Columbia, and we need more money for this, that, and the other thing. I mean, it's absolutely absurd. They have no voice, no representation in the Congress as well. And by the way, for those who live in the District of Columbia, you'll see it on some of the D.C. license plates, actually. You can get, if you register a vehicle in the District of Columbia, you can get a customized license plate that actually has the phrase on it, no taxation without representation. People in the District of Columbia take personal umbrage. I mean, they've been pissed off for generations that they don't get representation in the Congress. Although, arguably nobody alive today in the District of Columbia can make the case to say, well, they didn't tell you so. I mean, duh, that's just the way the government was set up. Anyway, we have a shadow congresswoman. Her name is Eleanor Holmes Norton. And it would be insensitive if I said she was as dumb as a box of rocks. That would not be nice, and I won't do that. But no matter, she's got a challenger. I present to you the first part of some audio from a challenger. Make of this what you will. She calls herself Queen Noble. Queen Noble. Here is some opening remarks from the Vote for Queen Noble campaign in Washington, D.C. Listen to this.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It is what it is. This is what it is. I'm Sandra Queen Noble. I'm running for Congress. Hopefully y'all see fit. My views is about health, education, well-being, housing, employment, transportation, communication, parks, recreation, justice, law enforcement, politics, religion, clean, safe, crime-free environments.
Okay, pretty much sounds like the Obama Democrat Party line, I would say. Here's where it gets a little weird here. Queen Noble, this might be a problem as Queen Noble seeks to get elected to the shadow congressional representative position. I don't know that there's a whole lot of people who buy this line, but here's part 2 of Queen Noble.
Please note that America is a stolen country. Not only is it a stolen country, it needs to be held accountable for crimes against humanity. And if you allow me to make the ballot, I am going straight for reparation, and I mean swiftly and immediately. So please, if you see me out there, please sign my petition. The children are our future.
Of course, got to work the children in there. That's Queen Noble seeking election to the shadow Congress from Washington, D.C. You thought we had some lame candidates from the Valley and from California. No, not really. That's pretty much lame-er, if we can say it that way. New polling data out about President Barack Hussein Obama. Peace be upon him. He is almost the lowest approval rating on record for a sitting U.S. president at this stage, 12 days away, essentially, from a congressional midterm election. President Carter, at this point in the midterm of his one term in office, was at a 42.3% approval rating. Interestingly enough, our former Californian, former President Ronald Reagan, was he had an even lower approval rating at this stage in his first midterm, 41.7%. But President Obama comes in at the third lowest approval rating at this juncture in the midterm of his first, let's hope, only term in office. President Obama now down to a 44.7% approval rating across the country throughout the United States. In our Senate race, Carly Fiorina, Barbara Boxer. Barbara up 2.1 percentage points in the latest poll. That is within the statistical margin of error. For all intents and purposes, they are tied. Jerry Brown just slightly out ahead of Meg Whitman. She is still within striking distance. We still have a race on our hands, 12 days out from Election Day. To be continued. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9. It's the Austin Hill Show.